If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
So the topic starts with the first topic is introduction to S/4HANA. So yeah, so I am working in the production planning area. Actually, I am from industry. I did not ask you this thing whether you are straight into SAP or you have worked in industry before doing this SAP consultation. So I have done 17 years in domain before migrating to SAP. So 2005 till now I am in SAP. So I have started with plant maintenance and then I shifted to production planning very soon. And I have been doing plant maintenance, mainly production planning, QM and WMMM also, and EWM, this area for the last 15 years. So I have worked with IBM, HCL, even TCS projects I handled earlier, and now mostly I'm working with US-based clients, directly with the US clients. In S/4HANA, I've been working for the last 4 years. So total, I am having 31 years experience in industry, out of which 17 years in domain and 15 years in SAP consulting. Implementations I have done around 6-7 implementations I have done in production planning and along with support projects, and so is in plant maintenance and QM also. So this is my brief introduction.
Thank you.
So yeah, so let us see. I mean, this page is a disclaimer. So this presentation, including examples, images, and references, are provided for informational purpose only. Please, I have to go through this slide. So that is why complying with all applicable copyright laws is the responsibility of the user. Without limiting the rights under copyright, no part of this document may be reproduced, stored, or introduced into a retrieval system or transmitted in any form. This has to be remembered, and or by any means. Credit shall be given to the images taken from open source and cannot be used for promotional activities. So the next slide is the agenda for this particular slide, which tells about the history of S/4HANA, the roadmap, the S/4HANA innovations, S/4HANA line of business, and the deployment options. Actually, these are basically, let us, you tell me when you do an ECC project or anything, I mean, these are basically the history and theory part, which, I mean, you have done these support projects and implementations. We do not, actually, these are all available, but we are just going through these slides. That's all. Because these are not, I mean, I would say that these are just some basic points or bullet points you can say regarding S/4HANA. When you start implementing an S/4HANA project, you have done projects, you are saying. So what have you have some implementations also you have done. So which methodology you have used in implementation projects in S/4HANA? Can anyone tell me, I mean, which methodology, support projects, I'm not talking about support, but implementation projects, which methodology you have used?
Generally, waterfall will use. Waterfall in S/4HANA, they'll use Agile and something like active. Some SAP has given one methodology for
mostly it is activate nowadays, no? Along with Azure methodology with sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3. So are you using that already?
It depends upon the project requirements. So some projects are handled by using agile method, some are from waterfall. It depends.
Okay, so as we go to this slide, it is saying that in S4HANA 2016 it was embedded. Now, what was the basic purpose of this? That is the in-memory computing, means the computation is happening directly on the database, so the seek time is faster. Like in our case, let us concentrate in in production planning. What is the improvement? The improvement is in the time of MRP run and simplification of certain MRP things, like the procurement, or the say there is only production version now, which has become mandatory. These things we'll discuss. And MRP run is happening on a live, on the database, so the time is faster. And there are certain simplifications in the subcontracting area. Now we are not, MRP area is by default activated, and we are not doing storage location MRP anymore. So these are the changes that has happened in the S4HANA PP side. So basically 4 areas, that is sourcing and procurement. So what changes in sourcing and procurement has happened is that the business partner has now become mandatory. It's not that the business partner concept was not there in ECC6. It was there. But the CVI, that is the customer vendor integration, that has now come into the play. You know about this? Anyone?
Yes, Deepak.
You know how to do a CVI?
I think not CBI, but before that, like the business partner is now becoming mandatory. That part.
Anyway, so this customer vendor integration regarding number range and BP role, and how the role is assigned to the same number can be assigned to a business partner, with depending on the role, it can be used as a vendor as well as a customer, these things. So this has come not in the PP area, but this is in P2P area, procure to pay. And in manufacturing, as I have already told you, MRP live has come into place, and there are storage location MRP not there in the master data. Simplified sourcing has come. Production version has become mandatory. Then your MRP area that has become active by default. So this MDVM table is now directly, because before that, to set up MRP area, we had to run a program, if you remember. Then that MDVM has to be converted to DBVM, but now directly DBVM table is getting updated. So these changes have taken place. And in the asset supply chain and asset management, means plant maintenance I work with. But I, frankly speaking, in plant maintenance, barring a very few things, I don't see much changes that have taken place in S4HANA. So basically, that important thing is the use of Z code and the Z programs, where remediation has to happen when we migrate to S4HANA. And data is now much faster due to some technical rearrangements of the tables. It is much faster now to seek the data. And that is why all existing Z reports has to be remediated before we do a migration. So major enhancements over SAP ERP included embedded extended warehouse management. So one of you are saying that you are knowing EWM, but that is previous to S4HANA, it was on a separate server, right? So we have to do that same type of SIF connectivity and steps, and all other basis activities when we connected to APO server, same thing. As in APO to SCM, like same EWM to our ECC that we used to do. But in embedded system, less, it is not that we don't have to do. we still have to do some SIP related settings and uh, um, uh, basis activities, but it is less. Same with the embedded PPDS functionality. So you have any idea about the APO PPDS functionality? When planning heuristics or detailed scheduling heuristics?
Not too much, but little bit, I can say.
So yeah, the advantage is that when we are using S4HANA, this advanced planning tab has come in the material master, and similarly in work center, so that we can transfer this master data, and then we can also transfer the PIR and planned orders to PPDS side, and then we can do the planning on that side, the planning run and those things. So there is a session on advanced planning. We'll take that up, as well as demand driven MRP. This is one slide which explains again that CVI thing that I was telling, and also EWM to embedded EWM. Previously, EWM was, as I have told you, I'll give you some more materials if you not having all the steps that you need to perform if you want to activate this embedded EWM in S4HANA. Basic steps that you need to carry out, and the EWM process like inbound, outbound production mainly, and quality inspection also, including production. So that will cover, as well as the PPDS embedded S4HANA planning. These two will be separate. I have some document which I have made myself based on my project which I have handled. So I'll try to share those documents, keeping the confidentiality of the customer, which are not available anywhere. SAP added machine learning. These things are actually just theoretical, because as a PP consultant, I don't go through all these things, but these are the things that have been mentioned in the history of S4HANA. Easier goods and invoice receipt reconciliation to automate invoice assignments. In September of that year, transportation management functionality was embedded in S4HANA. In 2018, predictive accounting functionality was added, and subsequent release, the solution included additional intelligent technology enhancements in the areas of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and Internet of Things. The whatever is written here, I am not associated with. If anybody of you know about these things, these are different areas, not production planning, but in other areas where the changes have taken place, it's mentioning that only. Now the implementation can happen in a cloud or on premises, that we know. So there are so many steps that are followed by the basis team and our ABAP team, and then individual module owners while migrating from one type of say ECC system to S4HANA, depending on the type of implementation that you are doing, whether it's a green field or a brown field, or a new thing that is called a blue field implementation that I did in IBM. So for faster for faster migration, we'll discuss those parts. So what is the new functionality? Mainly what I have seen is that in the FI area, prior to migration to S4HANA, there are simplification steps that need to be carried out. First thing, the simplification items we need to find out whether our existing system on which we want to convert to S/4HANA has, is suitable, or we need to do some work on that, upgrade to HP7, or do other kind of Unicode compliance on that system, and what are the simplification items that are that are applicable, and what are the items that will not support when we migrate to S/4HANA. So in the FI area, there are a lot of changes at that present, because pre and post migration activities, there are so many, and that is absolutely new. So unless that is done, then we cannot move anything, in any of the modules. So do you have the simplification list for any version in any version in SAP? It can be downloaded. All of you have the S user ID, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Deepak, you're audible.
So you are having the S user ID, and you have the simplification. Have you ever seen how what is the simplification list, say 2021? I mean, in each of the area, starting from master data to individual areas of modules, you have the simplification items, and whether any action is needed, and each one is having an SAP note. So have you seen that? Have you, are you aware of the, okay, we'll go through this, we'll come to those slides. So are you, do you have any simplification list? Let me see if I have one. It is there. You can also download. You have the S user ID no? In SAP?
Yes, I am. But it's not related to us, but it's related to client. But we can download.
You can download the simplification list. So these tells, as I have told you, a simplification list. Let me see if I can download. I have one. I'll just. So this is one of the examples of the. You can able to see my screen, right? So this is for 2020. So in the simplification list, you have the items for each of the modules, as well as the basis and master data or everything. Say, for example, in the production planning area, you can see that there are simplification items. So when you are migrating to S/4HANA, you have to go through these items. When you run that simplification check, that gives you a list of things that are applicable to your system for migration. So from there, so that means those are the items that you need to look at. So here in the production area, you will find that there are simplification items. This is PLM, PM, this is the PP. So these are MRP in S/4HANA. So if you look at this, there is a note, corresponding note. So you have to go through this note and see whether this is applicable. These simplification items are when items or notes, those which has to be installed, are basis activities when they run this transaction. And those they select and install when they are installing the server as a pre-check, pre-installation activities. And post installation, after it is converted, after Unicode conversion and custom code remediation, these things will be activated. I mean, for some manual configuration may also be necessary depending on the client situation. So you can go through this. I can share this document, so you can go through the simplification items. We can discuss these items after some time. What are the changes that have taken place and the items, and we already will discuss this. We know some part of it, but we'll discuss this. These are not relevant in finance or sourcing and procurement. But let us see in production what is there, if they have given anything. In every lines of business, like finance, as we are seeing in that simplification list, I mean, all the changes that have taken place and relevant notes have been mentioned. So next slide is the deployment options. In deployment option, we can deploy in the cloud, or we can have it on the on-premises. Actually, cloud implementation, I have not implemented, but transferring or migrating to Amazon cloud from existing on-premises, that I have done with one client. So entirely this thing has not been, this is not basically related to our functional area, but only thing is that after the basis activities are done, we have to do the testing part once it is in cloud, whether the standard functionalities and even the Z programs are working correctly. This part you have to do, I mean, from a functional point of view. And if it is an on-premises edition, that I have already told you, that from ECC, our step is to check the current system and the applicability of the simplification items by running the simplification check first, which will give you a list. And then we have to do the S4HANA conversion pre-checks. And also, one of the things is the Unicode conversion. That means it has to be Unicode Unicode. I mean, we have to convert. I mean, if it is less than ECC 7, then first we have to just upgrade it to ECC. I mean, EHP 7, and then we have to do the Unicode adjustment, and then custom code remediation. And after that, we can migrate to S4HANA box, and then we do the Z code conversion, because Hanatization or remediation of the Z code is necessary because of the table alignment has changed. So these are the things that we have to do from the basis and above side first. And after that, we do the testing. And finally, we do the master data migration. I mean, it depends on the type of project. I mean, whether it is a greenfield project or a brownfield. You have idea about the type of implementations that we do, that is brownfield or greenfield or even bluefield.
Please provide inputs.
Sorry? I mean, what I'm saying is that the type of implementations that we are doing, it can be a brownfield implementation, it can be a greenfield implementation, or it can be bluefield implementation. So have you, I mean, type of implementations that you have done, what type of implementation was it? I mean, I will give some input on this. Like brownfield implementation is basically a table-to-table copy. I mean, what we had in ECC is exactly the same thing without any changes. I mean, even if S4HANA offers additional functionality, we don't do. We just do the pre-checks and do a table-to-table copy of all master data and configurations. and do the migration in S4HANA with no changes. So this is one type of implementation. Greenfield is as if we are not having any previous ECC system and we built everything in the S4HANA side using this Activate technology. And greenfield is bluefield is a new technique that I have seen, I have used also in one of the projects, where what happens is that they establish the S4HANA database, and then but before that they create an empty shell of copying the only the configuration from the ECC side into an empty shell, which is still an ECC box, and all the configurations are copied. So after that, they do this Unicode conversion and Z code remediation, and then they establish the S4HANA server, where we now have all the configurations for ECC. That means we don't have to do any configurations. Like in Greenfield, we have done all configurations, and also the master data migration, and then testing everything as if we are doing a new project altogether. So that is our greenfield. But in bluefield project, we are just as it is, we are just copying only the configurations, not the master data. And after those remediation and hanatization and Unicode conversion, we establish the S4HANA box, and there we do the master data migration. The master data migration, again, for migration to S4HANA, there is a separate tool. We can give that tool, or there are many third-party softwares, like one company, SNP, is there, who has this own software for master data migration from ECC to S4HANA, that they do by table-to-table copy. So then this happens, and finally, I mean, whatever pre and post manual configuration activities we do, and then we do the testing and go live. Advantage of bluefield is that it is done since the configurations are done, I mean, automatically are copied beforehand, so the time taken is much less, and also the master data migration time taken through these special tools are less. Otherwise, this master data migration we have to do using our standard BDC or LSMW, or in S4HANA we have this LTMC and LTMOM, right? So have you done the LTMC technique before this? Transferring, I mean, just downloading the file, standard template, creating a project, then filling up the data. Maybe there are 4 or 5 it's like in the example of routing, say. So we have the header, then material assignment, the operation, component allocation, and QM characteristics. So these 5 tabs are there. We fill up the data, and then we follow 3 or 4 steps, like updating to the staging table, then do the mapping, and if there is any gap, then we supply the ISO code or whatever gap which is showing after the mapping, and then we do a simulation and finally update the tables. So this LTMC you are aware of, or have you done?
No, I think it is S4HANA specific, right? LTMC and that all. We don't have.
Yeah. So that means these are the inputs that I'm getting from you. So in one of the sessions, we'll do LTMC also. And in this, what I am discussing now, this is just an overview. So in another session, I mean, see, the training that has been designed here is mostly we are following the course and the slides. But there are, during our discussion, the areas will come up where we need to concentrate more, like which is actually we need for our conversion projects and all the techniques. So this migration is one of the techniques, like this deployment option, which I'm telling you, these are not theories. So what steps we need to carry out, although we will not do it, but there are many basis activities. I list out those activities to you. I'll provide some documents and we'll also discuss these activities to you. And then for production planning perspective, what pre-checks and post-checks which are necessary, that we'll discuss by going into these simplification items. These are the detailed things that we'll go into. Given our time, we'll try to accommodate as much as possible. Fiori apps, you are conversant to it. Have you run Fiori apps in your projects?
No.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do the Fiori apps. Mostly we'll be doing on Fiori apps. This is we have discussed regarding the brownfield and bluefield and greenfield, but there is this hybrid that they are saying that this is basically a match between the brownfield and greenfield implementations, but certain things are as it is copied to S/4HANA, and certain things that we need for improvement can be taken into account, and we can leverage the benefits of S/4HANA. So that concludes our this first presentation. So this is basically, you see that at the end of this, they have given a link for this YouTube channel, but I have my own document. I'll share it with the ZaranTech people who can share with you on the steps of migration steps, which I'm telling. So the next one. So this is the implementation methodology in S/4HANA. So I'll again have to tell you this first three slides. So this is again the same thing I'm repeating. This is the disclaimer part. Just go through this. Same thing that we did for each slide. Each presentation will have these three slides. So again, this disclaimer is there. We have to note these things. And then the next one is the agenda. So it is talking about in some detail about the implementation methodology and in S/4HANA migration methodology. In general, what we have done in ECC, that is our old implementation methodology, and then the S/4HANA migration methodology using mostly the Activate methodology. Implementation methodology is the steps and activities that we perform. So what is the earlier methodology that we used to have is the SAP methodology. We are all aware of this, right? We have done implementations, right? I go through these activities. So the first part is the project preparation. So what happens in a project preparation? Are you part of any steering committee meeting or project preparations?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see that the clarify scope of implementation, decide on the scope of implementation. Suppose, for example, we go in with a utility company, and this utility company will have, say, say power utility. It has generation, distribution, and transmission and distribution, and as well as billing, ISC utility part. So here we decide and discuss and decide on the scope. That is whether we'll do only the generation part or transmission part or distribution or all at a time. So and within that, what functionalities will implement, and which will be part for later implementations. So that is the scope. So we form the team that is from each side, the SAP partner side, like TCS, and from the client side, and we'll have the steering committee members and the project sponsors from the client side. Then we have the core team, core project team, and the consulting team. And the sequence of project implementations. I mean, going forward, how we'll start like our as is study and gap identification, to be study, then realization, different testing, that will come later. Establishment of the servers, the timeline, what will be the number of users that we have to consider. I mean, all these things are discussed and decided in the project preparation. Then we have the project kickoff. So the first phase is not the business blueprint. First phase is basically, that is the phase two, is not only the prior to making the business blueprint, we have to do the as is study. There is existing system for the client based on the scope. We have to study the existing processes, including everything. I mean, master data, the processes that are run, the crucial reports, all these things we study, and then we create this business blueprint by identifying the gaps in the standard SAP process, what is available, and then we note these gaps and how we remediate these gaps, whether these gaps will be there or not, or whether that will be treated as a gap or not. And all these things are documented and finalized in the business blueprint. So all of you have done a business blueprint for individual areas.
Yes.
So this part, this part is known to you, right? Once the business blueprint is done, then yeah, please tell me.
Deepak, sorry for the interruption. Like for the few guys in this training must be knowing about that, but we have few guys who are working on the support projects. So I think that
So
will be
let us
good if you
assume
just
that we don't know. Yeah, let us assume that we don't know how to create, I mean, how to create a business blueprint. So in that case, let me see if I can show you. This is a typical business blueprint, not necessary in production planning area. I can share a business blueprint by removing the client's name, but you can see that this is a business blueprint that was done while this is one of the TCS projects. So this business blueprint contains, as I have told you, see this content, it contains the organization structure part, that is for plant maintenance or production planning. I mean, whatever areas you are working in, this is the structure of the blueprint. You have a organization structure part, then you have a master data part, then you have a business process, which you list down. Like in the production planning area, our organization structure will contain all these things: control, company client, company code, controlling area, then mainly the plant, production plants, and the storage locations. And if WM is there, we can also mention this WM linked storage locations, which are WM enabled, and under WM again those storage types, storage sections, warehouse numbers, all will come into play. All the organization elements that we have to maintain under organization structure. Next is this master data part. So we have to mention all these master data in production planning, like material master, BOM, work center, routing. But production version is now absolutely mandatory in S4HANA. So we have to maintain the production version also. If it is a PPPI, then we have to maintain the, mention the um, master recipe and resources. Then we have to mention the business processes, and again each process, what is the current process, what will be the would-be solution, and what will be the, how it will be in case there is any gap. We'll also uh, uh, mention this gap, and we'll discuss the possible solution. After the business process, we have the integration, which happens in SIT and UAT, system integration testing and user acceptance testing, when we run the integration cycles. Like in production planning area, what are the integrations with, say, or WM, EWM, or FI that we have to run, and the total cycle. So these are the integrations we have to mention, and the RISEP objects. The RISEP object will contain the workflows. Workflows in production planning are not generally there. Mostly it is not there. So we don't have workflows, but we have reports which are not available in standard but crucial to the customer. So that reporting need has to be understood, and it has to be noted. And we have to develop these reports through our functional spec. We have to share with above developers, and then we have to write these reports. So customization is basically customization. Normally SAP 70% pre-configured, but based on client requirements, we are doing some configurations. We do this say order type configuration or MRP group, whatever we think that it is required for the client requirement, that we do. So I was talking about the what are enhancements? Hello? Can anybody tell me about what are enhancements?
Means for the standard reports, or we'll do some customizations, adding field, that one, right? So that the enhancements.
No, sorry, the enhancements. The enhancements are actually, is it only related to reports or also process?
Yeah,
It's also related to process. The things
Yeah.
which
So
are
what
not
are these
available in the
things?
standard SAP. Yeah, we
So
need to
how do
enhance
we do
those
the
things.
enhancements? How do we do the enhancements? Have you done enhancements in your projects? Must be, you have done.
Yes, yes.
So that is not entirely related to only reports, but in process run, where certain functionalities they want a process to do, not exactly to, suppose they want to do certain functionalities in CO11N, or say goods receipt posting in MIGO. So that for that they do some enhancements, right? Some user exit or body they use, right? So you have done these things, right? User exits, suitability of user exits, which user exit has to be used in certain cases. I can give you a list and examples. But how do you find the exits and body? And do you have any ABAP knowledge, runtime? How do you find or test a body or user exit? Because you have been working for such a long time. Some of you must be knowing, right? You have implemented, na?
Yes.
Suppose in our case, we know that in a goods movement, in the production order confirmation screen, when we put that scrap and rework field, these are not posted anywhere, isn't it? Only the yield is posted. So if I want to see that these are also posted in a report where it is going, we can only see in the confirmation table, approve table. But if I want to see the posting, I mean in MMB also, if I want to see it as a stock. So if we want to modify our posting or goods movement, I'm just giving you an example. There is body uh, which can do this. Or in the confirmation screen, we can add custom fields. So there is user exit for that. So if certain things need to be checked before we save a production order or a process order, then also we can use these user exits. So these are the parts of enhancements that are done, right? So apart from that, there are forms and printouts, like they have to issue some soft paper or pick list. Huh? So for that, they their format their format may be different from the standard SAP script that we are having as SAP script. So for that, uh, we have to write the functional spec based on their form. So for that, the screen painter is necessary. Any screen exit that might be necessary for data entry to capture those fields. And accordingly, we have to write the functional spec and give it to the ABAP team for developing the fields and what needs to be populated and in which logic. So these are the RISEP objects that we list out and we also maintain in the business blueprint. And finally, after all things, if certain processes or maintenance of master data or anything can be seen as not being met with after all these RISEP objects or standard SAP or workaround, we treat this as a gap and that we decide during our blueprint presentation and final decision making how to go about it. So this is basically the content of a blueprint. Let us say I go to any of this section, just an example. Say example, this is a plant maintenance example, production planning example. Let me see if I have one. See, there are other clients where the BBP can be many ways. This is one BBP that I am showing TCS. This one is a comprehensive BBP that contains all the sections like as is study, then the master data, process, RISEP, audit reports and gaps, everything. But you can also have a process type, process-wise BBP. like this one. For example, in one of the clients, I will show you a BBP for a make to order scenario. So this is a production planning blueprint in ECC 6 that is for a make to order scenario for another client. So this will contain this, this is a process wise BBP. So you have the process steps in the BBP. You mentioned the process steps. And you have the flow chart of the process for make to order production. And you finally enter the gap analysis. The process steps that you mentioned in the BBP will contain how they are executing the process and how this will be mapped in SAP. This is one way of making BBP. It is a process wise. For my side, I can say that it is better to have a process wise BBP. I mean, that is my experience. Instead of having a big BBP containing all the processes, the earlier one. So in this, you mentioned the as-is and how it will be done process-wise, or the master data-wise, or the organization structure-wise. This type of BBP is better because you also need to run the BBP workshop at the you need to run the BBP workshop at the end of the when you complete the BBP, and there will be question answer sessions. Have you ever run any BBP workshop?
Yes, Deepak will do.
Yeah, so there we finally, once we actually the BBP is prepared in conjunction with the super users and also end users. So once everything is ready, we present it to the steering committee or the meeting or a workshop. It can be a whole day workshop or it can be process wise. We can have scheduled sessions for the workshops. And after each process is discussed and decided and finalized, we freeze that and finally we give it to them for sign off. So you have some of you have the experience of writing a BBP, and those who do not have the experience, I'm just taking input. So what is your expectation from this training on the BBP part? Do you want to do you think that you will be able to make this BBP and run a workshop? It is not a very difficult thing. I think those who are in projects, they have to gather the requirement and they have to know SAP very well and know what is available and what is not. And if it is not available, whether we can mitigate it with the use of any enhancement or workaround. And finally, we make these things and then present it to the client. So you tell me that what is the expectation for those who have not done any BBP before? Do you think I will share some BBPs, standard BBPs in production planning area, which they can refer to? Or it is available with you?
Now,
This
can you please
process
share
with
this
BPP is somewhat new. We have done normal BPPs, but process wise it's somewhat new.
What I'll try to do, say for example, you have been working in multiple projects, many projects of different types of industry. So some typical industry BBPs in production planning I can share with you. I mean, say for example, some metal industry or FMCG or chemical industry, mainly those which are very common. So you can take it as a template for your solution. I think you are having all these repositories in TCS also. After the BBP, the next phase is the realization phase. In the realization, what we do, what is after the BBP is signed off and everybody has agreed to the mapping, we do the mapping. We create the organization structure. For that, necessary configurations are done. Then we do the master data related and process related basic configurations. And after that, we do a unit testing. That means whether within the module itself, whether we are able to create a full say production order, whether it is getting created, whether one MRP run is happening. So this is the baseline. After the baseline is done, we can do a final configuration with the customer's input to fine tune what we have done. So basically the baseline configurations and unit testing are done here and finalized. That we do in a golden client. There are two clients in the development normally. One is the golden client where we do only the configurations when no data is there, and we transport everything from golden client to the quality client, quality server. So in the golden, and there is one sandbox where we do all sorts of testing before once we do the configuration and try to align with the process and whatever we have finalized in the BBP. So that is the sandbox where we do all kinds of testing with some of the representative data from the customer with their data. So that is how the first phase, that is of the realization, that takes place. In the development system, we do this part. The final, but now after that, when the quality client is set up and when our configurations and testing are done, I mean unit testing, and then we do system integration testing, that is SIT, then we will move our configuration once everything is accepted from our side. We move everything to the quality server. We can have two quality clients. One is the where we upload the data, say about 50% of data or 75% of the client data, and do a full testing with the same configurations that has been fixed and finalized. So that is one part, and there we have a UAT also from the client. So we prepare the test scripts and we give it to the client. We have the test scripts. I share some template test scripts with you where the process steps are there. With the transaction codes. Let us consider a test script which is SAP standard test script. So this is a Word document. But this is as per the best practice. In our case, this is a Fiori app-based script, which I have downloaded from SAP Best Practice Explorer. You also have access to it. But the production planning basic test scripts I can share with you for discrete and PPPI and REM. This test script will be, they have structure. I mean, SAP standard test script is this way. This test script will contain this. This is the steps. These are the steps. So you have the test step name, then the test step name, how you carry out either transaction code or it is now mostly Fiori app based, and what is the expected result, actual result, pass fail, who is the tester. So these things. This UAT script we prepare and share with the client. Exactly not in this format, but this is the table where we do. They have given the explanation of each of the steps later on. But we provide this kind of table to the client after we test it and found it as okay. So they carry out the UAT on this script, run the process, and put their comments as pass and fail for further adjustments. If there is some discrepancy or if certain case fail, where we have to correct the master data, say, or any configuration, we go back to the golden, do the configuration, or master data fine tuning we do in quality, and then it is retested. After each and every test script, as per the BBP, is tested and finally passed, then we will be going to this next phase, that is the cutover. Final preparation. The final preparation will involve testing, system management, cutover activities, end user training, and all other tasks that are required. Now, testing we were discussing. So, for almost with full data, before the go live, with full data, we do another round of testing. And then we, as I have told you, that there is another client in quality that is established. There is a training client where we train the users. So there are training manuals or user manuals that have to be prepared, and we carry out the training activities at different locations with the end users and super users. From the production point of view, the cutover means before we migrate to productive system, we have maybe we have a pre-productive client where 100% of the data from the client is uploaded with full configuration, and we have a mock go live, like they are running their system on SAP parallel to the legacy system, and check that the values are matching. More on the finance and MM side, in the cutover period, we have a blackout period where we freeze their books, we do the initial upload and all the financial entries that are uploaded and checked with the trial balance that is uploaded, and the balance sheet is checked with the legacy whether those are matching. That happens just before the go live. So we freeze the inventory in those days, and there is no transactions. We upload the MB1C or Amigo, whatever way, in HANA. These old transactions are no longer there. And we do the full data migration also. in the productive system. So after all this is done, we are ready for our next phase. That is the go live. After, all the reconciliations are done and the balance sheet is uploaded. So we go into a go live. We go into a go live and the system goes live. So what happens? You have the experience of what happens in a go live, and after that what happens? That when the system is completely starts running in SAP, what happens is that you still have many open orders in the legacy system, which must be I would say entered in SAP. So that can be done manually, or as well as that can be migrated using tools depending on the data volume. In the production planning area, what we have, there can be some open orders or open production orders at different stages. Some can be released or some are already partially confirmed. So all these orders, depending on the data volume, are to be uploaded or created manually and then completed. And this process will go on, say for example, depending on the data volume, it may go on for another week's time when we are at par with the existing legacy system. That is, we don't have any backlog. And then the support period will go on. The support happens at site initially for say 1 or 2 months, whatever the agreement is. And then that is the hypercare period initially. And after that, so every day's incidents and any user lack of understanding or training deficiency, or how they do it in the system, whatever problems they are facing, those things are addressed, and we have a full issue. I mean, that is this is the period where the maximum work happens in the project and the maximum workload comes. After that, when it is somewhat streamlined, we still do support for maybe another 3-4 months. And if the agreement is there to provide support, AMC or that kind, then it can be extended, or yearly we can provide support. I mean, in this, there can be various types, like we can, there may be certain gaps which can be mitigated by creating a new change request, CR management, where a new request comes and we have to do it, which was not part of the scope of the project, and new billing has to be required. So all these things are done at that stage. So this is the conventional, our normal practice of doing the implementation. Now we'll move to this S/4HANA migration strategy. In the S/4HANA migration strategy, it is actually a little bit different in the sense what SAP has now done is that they do it in a rapid deployment system where you just download the best practice from the best practice explorers and run the system and show it to the client initially. I mean, instead of that, during the blueprint preparation itself, you have just run the process so that they quickly get accustomed to the system at an initial stage, and where if they are having a better understanding at the beginning, they can come up with their suggestion and it can be faster. So basically the process is same, but we do it like the deployment is faster, And the remaining process also follows this pattern. We have 3 sprints, sprints 1, 2, and 3, based on the Azure technique. This is basically the activate methodology. We'll discuss a bit of activate methodology now. What are the different steps which are followed, and how, I mean, these are basically what I find is the different terminologies they are using nowadays. Instead of the SAP, which we have discussed. In the activate methodology, we have again certain phases, like the 5 phases that we have discussed in the standard SAP methodology. In activate, we have basically 6 phases. We have a first phase called discover phase. Then we have the prepare phase. Then explore, realize, deploy, and run. So what happens in each phase? I'll just mention this, and I'll share some documents with you. These are for document purpose and reference purpose. Nowadays, whatever we do, I mean this implementation, we follow this method only, this activate. In the discover phase, that is what I told you, where the customer realizes that there is a need for solution. The business point, it starts looking at SAP for the right solution. So we have a trial solution in place. So you can say that is a client dumping. We have pre-configured solutions which we can show it to the customer. Say for example, in production planning, we have the best practice for chemical industry. Say this best practice chemical company roadmap. So here all the process steps are there. This chemical industry solution map and the relevant test scripts and all these things, these are presented and shown to the client. These are the different processes for sales. If you look at the best practice explorer, all these companies' name which has come up here, including your DuPont or others, they follow this method. This activate methodology was used, using the best practice for chemicals. As we know, in the production planning area, we start with the demand planning. So currently, we are using standard SAP or flexible planning. These and even long-term planning in ECC 6. Same thing is used in S4HANA, but we also have one cloud solution now available, which is IBP, Integrated Business Planning, that has a Microsoft Excel type of interface where we download the sales data and do all optimization and calculations for arriving at a accurate demand data for converting to production. So that is one of the areas that I mean, nowadays it is very much in use, IBP. I don't know how long it will be used. From my personal experience, I can say that I have seen in one CPM implementation, customer project implementation, customer project management. That is basically a PS module ramification. So in that project, I have seen that it is a failure because it was not realized. This Excel startup, but people are using IBP now, as well as our old SOP system is very much there in S4HANA along with LTP. Acha, you are aware of these planning tools, no? You have been using SOP and flexible planning and LTP, right? All of you? Hello?
Not all, but a few. Not all people.
Actually, I'm a bit confused because I am seeing that you have been doing PP for a long time. So my assumption is that you have all will be able to do a standard SOP cycle or flexible planning or say this long-term planning. So I'm not sure. I mean, that is what I want to understand whether we should run these processes or
Yep. I think we have to run this.
okay. So I assume that we have to run all these processes once. Okay. Um, but IBP I cannot show you. It is in a different cloud, and I don't think I'll be able to show you. But frankly speaking, I also have limited knowledge of IBP, not much in all areas. So these three will show, and also I'll show you a recent example and a problem that I have faced regarding uploading of a rolling forecast for an SOP or a demand uploading in MD61 for 52 weeks. This was achieved after great difficulty. So I'll want to share with you because in future you can use a reusable type of format where you can upload demands up to one year, 52 weeks. So in the discover phase, as we are discussing, we have this demand planning. SNP is not, in APO there is a DP, but I am not discussing APO here. We'll only discuss the PPDS. So in APO also demand planning is there. That is not exactly SOP, but that is different. And when we use the embedded PPDS functionality, demand planning is not there. It is in the cloud. And now it is also replaced with IBP. But they have a new Fiori app where you can download a template and upload the demand using that Fiori app. It has come up in 2022, I think. This is the part I was telling. This is the IBP part in SOP, where you can address all those. I mean, detailed planning, rough cut, capacity planning, but that is done in an Excel worksheet, embedded Excel worksheet, and it actually you can do calculations on that and optimization. These new things, when mostly in Indian industry, we don't see these things, MII application much. But in Europe and US markets, we see that there are strong shop floor control systems for manufacturing execution, which are already available. So there, this MII solution um, comes into play. We have an SAP from which it goes to MII, the middleware via inbound, outbound IDOC. and goes to their MES system. In Europe, Hydra is one popular system where you can create a SAP order, production order in SAP, and through MII system it goes to Hydra. I'll share some template solution for these things, which you can keep as a reference, because all these things cannot be discussed within this short time. Each is a big solution. So it again is get processed in the MII system, Hydra system, comes via MII inbound IDOC to SAP for completion. So this interface and developments, all these things, these are available in a standard template in SAP in a pre-configured solution. You can have a look at any of the best practices, like chemical best practice or anything, and you will find that there are these template solutions, which we first show it to the client in the discover phase, and they have a SAP product experience. So the next phase of this activate methodology is the prepare phase. In this phase, it is both important for the customer and partner to understand. What we have just shown a template, which one is the crucial activities with respect to the project. So from that, we understand that again, this terminology, this prepare phase, that tells about the identification of crucial resources from the customer side who can work with SAP consultants, and if required, some crucial partner side consultant can be onboarded, and they can work with the SAP consultant who also has knowledge about this system. So initial level of requirement that is gathered already from the business owners, we fill in the business configuration as well as a BC set. You are aware of the BC set?
Yes.
Because when we deploy the best practices, we have the BC sets in notepad files, config file and data file, which we can upload. There is some way of doing this quick uploading and activating the BC sets. So a pre-configured client created that way is shown to the customer. And from there, we just do further changes based on the answers provided by the assessing consultants from the customer, and we move on to the next phase, that is the explore phase. The explore phase is the most important phase. This actually is basically a fit gap analysis, fit to standard. Whatever best practice template that we have shown and discussed and got input from the customer in there is then it's done a fit gap type of analysis, means we realize in the system based on the modification that we do to the best practice when we get the feedback from the customer, and then we do a demo. We'll do a flow chart and a demo to the customer showing what the initial system will look like to the customer. During this fit gap analysis session, which we show to the customer, we can have additional requirements which can be noted, and later we can map this when the actual realization takes place. Now, as I was discussing, there is standard migration templates that are readily available for download. LTMC I was talking about. So LTMC procedure, I will tell you. there are standard migration templates available for all master data objects as well as some of the transaction objects. So we download those templates, we fill it up. For that, separate workshop or sessions are arranged, how to fill it up, explain the meaning of mandatory fields, and then we do a data cleansing. We upload that in the staging area, do the mapping, whatever is incomplete, and do a simulation and do the final upload. So all this is again a time-saving approach where we don't have to create or share the master data template with the client, but these are readily available now. I'll show you the LTMC project. If I think it is, we have access to the. Have you been given access to the system, right?
Yes, we got.
So you have the Fiori links. So we'll see that in a Fiori link. There is a Fiori link for my what is that? My migration projects. So I exactly name I don't. I'll see when we open that Fiori. So that will open the LTMC cockpit. So there we can download the file. Some file is already ready. So we can try one out. And at this phase, when we are doing this explore phase, the customer will fill up all this data to minimize the time. Base part of explore phase is that the customer execution of standard process. They are already accustomed to the process. So in the explore phase itself, we try to achieve in Activate that they run it themselves. And that is what I mean. Already I have shown you the one SAP standard test script. So this type of test scripts are copied from the standard and provided to the customer so that they run these test scripts in that system. So before the actual testing happens, the customer is already aware of the standard processes. RISEP objects are also noted at this point of time, like workflow report, integrations, conversions, enhancements, and forms. These RISEP objects.
Deepak, sorry to interrupt you. Am I the only one who's seeing this screen stuck?
Which screen you are seeing now?
I think it's 561 page on Adobe Reader.
I don't know. I mean, just one second. Let's see. No. This is not a screen. I was discussing this module only, right? So that screen was. So actually, in this particular PPT, nothing has been discussed about the Activate methodology. So I was having some discussion on that, but that does not have the Activate methodology discussed in detail. Let me go to their material. It is not there. But this is how it is done in today. So that is why I'm discussing. But I have a separate document which I'll share with you regarding this Activate part. I have told you already. Let's go with their slides only. So apart from that, I'll share the one document with you later. The realize phase comes later after the explore phase. The realize phase is more or less the same. It only takes care of the other backlog documents that we note during the explore phase. And we have the quality system for the UAT and further testing, and which gets sign off. Also, we develop the RISEPs, and then we have the some of the RISEPs, not all, maybe not all reports, some crucial reports and the enhancements related to the screen and the process, which we develop. are also incorporated into our solution at this stage. There is a thing called authorization matrix. Are you aware of that? Which is also shared with the user. I forgot to tell you earlier. This is an important thing. So that is basically the different transaction and roles and the number of users. An Excel form that is shared with the client to fill it up on the transaction codes and different roles who will have access to create, change and display for different transactions and authorization objects. So have you anyone done this authorization matrix?
Authorization matrix for users and end users, right? You are telling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So towards the end of the realize phase in Activate, we have all kinds of testing. We have the unit testing, we have integration testing and UAT, siege and UAT. And after everything is signed up, and once our RICEPs are ready, we have a plan cutover to send the data, upload the data, and make the system productive. That is the end of the realize phase. Then we deploy. We just migrate all configurations and data as earlier to the productive system, and normally during a weekend or when the production can be stopped for 1 or 2 days, or like, and also the inventory and other financial transactions, we have a blackout, and then we perform the cutover, matching the balance sheet by uploading balance sheet in SAP, matching with the legacy. And finally, the last phase is the run phase. You can best practice explorer and SAP roadmap viewer. These are the two links that I will share with you, where you can download all the best practice for industry, different type of industries, and you can see the test scripts. In fact, my plan is to, you can, if the system allows, in our system, in the Fiori, we can run this best practice. But that does not have all the planning strategies or other things in details, or the MRP area planning, everything. That will do separately in GUI. But in using S4HANA, they also have given exercises. We can go through the exercises as they have given. So along with that, this best practice you can download, and roadmap viewer also you can download to get a better idea of the project. I'm sharing that. These migration objects, migration types like greenfield, bluefield, and brownfield, I have already discussed. I have already discussed, and will not discuss further on these things. Just that my deliverable from my side will be the typical migration, this strategy, some reference documents on this greenfield or bluefield, and one typical blueprint in 3-4 areas, some test scripts, and this best practice explorer, roadmap viewer, these things. This I'll provide to the company who will share with you, so that you can download and you can go through. If required, we can have further discussion on your points tomorrow or when we find time. Now, this is the next PPT. This one tells us about the plan to production process in S/4HANA and financial implications of production. Before I take on this PPT, I'm not hearing anything from your side. There may be something that you need to ask, or you think that is needed to be discussed on what we have discussed, and any gap which you may have seen and think that I may have to provide, or please let me know. We can have 2-3 minutes discussion, interactive discussion on this, uh, uh, so that we can have a full understanding of what we are doing till now. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, please, you can, we can discuss for 5 minutes. I mean, what things or what deliverables you want from me on these topics, what we are discussing till now. See, these are all things that I have been going through slides and theories. Some of the things like this simplification items, blueprint, test script, these I'll share. You can follow that template. So any other questions that you are having on this?
Currently, it is only till the strategy, right? So that's where no questions. I think in process we'll have some questions maybe.
When we will
Like
go into the system and do
yeah,
the exercises, and then we'll see. Actually, this part only, what I feel is only the LTMC, how to migrate. That one is one session that will take. And standard, as I have told you, standard BVP and standard test scripts that I'll share. These are the things. Anyway, let us move forward to the next slide, next topic, that is plan to production process in S/4HANA and financial implications of production. I have to go through these 3 slides, the disclaimer part, and the agenda for this one is master data setup in production, creating a production order, scheduling production, releasing order for execution. Just one second. And financial implication of production. So how to, I mean, this slide, this PowerPoint describes the sequence of things that we need to do to run PP. So the steps, like first we have to set up the master data. What are the master data? Master data, we already know that material master, BOM, routing, production version, master recipe or resource. And in repetitive manufacturing, what is the master data? Is there any master data in REM?
Yeah, them separately we don't have, right? So
So
only
in MRP, in
rate routing
MRP4,
difference
rate routing difference,
and
MRP4,
RAM
we have to
profile.
RAM profile, we have to assign in MRP4.
Yeah.
Mostly it is pre-configured, we don't have to, but this product cost collector is a master data in
Yeah, KK6N, yes.
yes. So that is the only thing that we do in REM. So next is so that means first we have to create this master data, and once the master data is created, it is when we create the production order, this master data is read into the production order, and we release and schedule the production order, do material availability check. This I'm just running through. We schedule the production order. Scheduling means the dates are calculated and work center capacity requirement is generated so that we can later on do the capacity labeling against standard available capacity or shift wise capacity in the capacity planning board. We'll do that later no, in CM23, and also PPDS detailed scheduling board. So releasing the order, we release the order, then we can take the print out of shop papers. After our implementation, the shop paper print will be according to the client format, where we have pick list, operation list, job ticket, etc. And then we can, once we release the production order, we'll do goods issue and then do confirmation. The confirmation can be single confirmation, order level confirmation, time event confirmation, post processing, um, clearing COGI error, or CO 1F for error handling, for failure, the activity posting, uh, and then goods issue, which can be separate or by backflash. So all these things are done, and then once it is done, we do the settlement. We do the variance calculation and the settlement. You have done all this process, right? In variance calculation, how do you set it up? The background configurations of product costing also you are aware of, right? We'll go through that once more as a revision.
In
Material
REM,
cost
we will not have this all things because product cost collector will take care of everything.
No, that is in REM, but in discrete or repeated, discrete or PPPI, we have the material cost estimate run. How the costing variant is configured, how the cost component structure is configured. There are three things in our costing in production order. No? One is the display of cost, settlement of cost, the cost display. We have an analysis, we have an itemization, how these are achieved.
Yes, just an overview is fine, I think.
But we will go
Yeah,
into the detail of background configuration, because there are some errors related to costing in production orders. So how to tackle those errors? We will have some error list also, right?
yes, yes.
So that is the financial implication, means GIGR material cost is updated. When you post the confirmation, activity cost is updated. Apart from that, there can be process cost also, like quality cost or any other overhead cost, which can also be updated in the production order. So that is the MMFI configuration, and also the account determination in OBYC. for different transaction types like AUF or BSX, or how you assign the GL accounts, how during transaction the account determination takes place. This basic idea, like, because sometimes this error comes like in the valuation area, you have not set up for the order type and plant. So that error will come during posting. So we'll check all these configurations. So that is the resource cost and material cost. Resource cost is again, we have the formula in the work center copied to the routing. Then that calculates the cost based on the formula, activity type and cost center. We maintain in the work center. We maintain the rate in KP26, and then the cost is calculated. There is no change in S4HANA on this. Overhead cost is again calculated using a costing sheet. That is, we have the base, the overhead percentage and the credit line. So it can be based on a flat percentage of the material or labor cost, or it can be based on a absolute value, which is added to the base cost. Utility, insurance, rent, etc. It depends on the customer requirement, what all overheads we need to consider. Product cost, that means the material costs are calculated using standard cost estimate run. That is CK40N or CK11N run will do one for one of the materials. So that takes care of the entire routing and BOM. So calculates all the resource and material cost. Do a cost roll up for the raw materials up to the SFG and then to the FG level. And that gives you the final standard cost estimate for the production, for the final product. That is the brief discussion of the production process in S4HANA. As you can see that these processes are mostly same as in, yeah, but the background setup in FI area done by the FI consultants are quite a lot for this to happen. From the production side, we will not see much difference. I've not encountered any additional problem due to S4HANA in product costing, apart from what we already have in ACC. This I have already discussed, I think, this business blueprint workshop and template content. These three sites I have to mention. This talks about the business blueprint. This I have already discussed and showed you. So one business blueprint for each area, as I have told you, I'll be sharing with you as template along with other documents which are relevant for a project, implementation project. So business blueprint workshop, how to conduct a workshop. It is a structured meeting in which the project team works with the business users to define the business process that will be supported by the S4HANA team, as well as any customization that needs to be done. Acha, have you ever been to a workshop? You have told that you were part of workshop, right? In business blueprint discussions.
Yeah, business blueprint.
Yes, Deepak.
So these are the things just I'm going through because you already know about these things. So before the workshop, you have to just explain to them the objective and goal of the workshop. What is the goal of the workshop? What do you think is the goal of the workshop?
Before that, we'll have a discussions on this as is and to be, right? What are the process which they are following and what we are suggesting.
Well, to
So
me, yeah, and then you conduct the workshop for number of days, maybe based on different processes. You can
yeah,
segregate and then you can program a session for some hours each day to discuss and finalize each section, or you can have a whole day discussion. That is not really done these days because this is a very long blueprint. So, but ultimate objective is to get the sign off.
yeah,
If that is not done, then hours of discussion will not yield anything. So there are two things. First thing that I believe that once you go to the customer, we have to have that confidence in the customer that you are one of them, you understand their process. Then you win the confidence. And once you have the confidence, then you have the good SAP knowledge. You can tell them that it has to be done this way only. And since you are doing SAP, you have to do this thing only. And they have to accept that. And that is how you have the you have the control, I would say, and you get your business blueprint signed and done. This cannot be taught, isn't it? How do you do it? But from my personal experience, I can say, since I have worked in 15 years prior to coming to SAP in industries, I have some confidence with the customer already when I approach them. And that is why that helps not that most of days these days what happens is that people working for 2 3 years maximum, maybe they are into SAP, or maybe they just enter SAP as a functional consultant is a different thing. It they have to suggest a better way of doing their business. Whether you are doing it through SAP or Oracle, that they are using SAP is a different thing. But to run their business in a better way, SAP has given this best practice. But in Indian industry, they may not be best fit. So we have to just balance this best practice with the Indian industry context and give them the best solution. The best solution means two things, what I understand. One is that from the user perspective, it should be a smart solution. It should give you all the crucial reports. That is fine. That the top management sees. But from the user point of view, the ease of use, that is very important. And also capturing of all day-to-day data. These two things are very important, that it should not be a very complicated system. You can make a simple system. First objective is to make a simple usable system which the user which will be user friendly type. So you should minimize the number of screens, use minimum screens which are absolutely necessary. You can meet all the requirements of the customer by using enhancements, creating new screens, etc. But that will not serve your purpose. Ultimately, if it is very complicated, then you can use enhancement to simplify the screen. Suppose there are 4 or 5 tabs or 4 or 5 navigations that you are making, which mostly happens in SAP. So instead of that, if they suggest, you can bring everything to a single screen data entry. So sometimes that helps. So next step is to gather the necessary resources. So you conduct the workshop, you will need to gather the necessary resources, including any relevant documentation, process flow diagram, and information, which you are already having. When you prepare the blueprint, you initially do that as is study. And at that point of time, you have the documents to uh, uh, you have the documents which are all incorporated into the BBP, and here you will find your opportunity to correct or modify anything that is finalized. During the business blueprint workshop conducted, your steering committee members, IT departments, and other stakeholders like the production heads or the quality heads or other integration like or finance teams, they will also be present. So you should be having a good integration knowledge also, because there will be questions asked on that, and you should be prepared to answer. And for that, you can also bring your other consultants into that discussion. The business blueprint template I have already shown you. I'll share a few templates with you. So that is all. So basically, I have completed this part. That is the methodology of execution, what is there in HANA, and this business blueprint and test script and other deliverables which I'll share. And mostly it is about what is what change has taken place in S4HANA. And as far as whatever we have covered till now, there are mainly those simplification items and changes in production planning that we have to address and incorporate in S4HANA and keep in mind. That we'll see in the subsequent days.
Can you share this presentation with us?
Which one?
This PPT which you shared.
The last one?
Yes.
Hi guys, Nitin from Tech Support here. The PPT which trainer is sharing is already there in the LMS, which we will be sharing.
It is already there in the LMS.
Okay.
What I will provide is the some of the example templates that will share through ZaranTech. You will get, which is some industry specific standard templates which you can reference during your future implementations in S4HANA. Test script and templates. So what you basically need, you need the test script, you need the business blueprint, you need the test script, and you need the user manual. So these things I'll share. And the best practice link I'll give, you all have EAS user ID. You can download those things, or otherwise I can also give you the production related best practice documents, test scripts.
Deepak, can you please guide us how we can download the best practice document?
Sure. Just go to Google. I don't remember the link. Best Practice Explorer. Best Practice. So you go to this link, rapid.sap.com. So I put it in a chat. So if you have a Just 1 second. I have a user ID. Just let me go back. I'm already logged on, I think. So if you go to this is the rapid.sap.com BP, that is the best practice explorer. So you have to log in with your SAP SID and password, which my client may have given you. From there, you take their permission, or you can download, or otherwise you can talk to TCS. I think they also have a user ID which they can give you, right? So you click on that complete portfolio or S4HANA on premises. Let us see what is there in that. SAP best practice for S4HANA. So you click on that. So you have all these areas in which you have the best practice documents. So in our case, it is manufacturing. So you can go to manufacturing, and under manufacturing, you will have manufacturing operations, production engineering. I thought of including this part, but time permit also. Production planning, then quality management. So if you click any of these are the best practice. These are analytics. Now, engineer to order, inbound storage tank management. These are templates, sample process in a process manufacturing. What happens generally? Now, make to order, make to order. There are another two. There are two. One is for process. Then you have SFG make to order. Then make to order with sales and VC. Acha, you are aware of VC? Have you worked in VC area? Variant configuration?
No. No.
No. Okay. We'll discuss briefly. Yeah? We'll try to create some small VC objects. We'll try. Some code syntax is there. We'll try one or two VC. Then we have the make to stock, discrete manufacturing, process manufacturing with silo materials, predictive analytics model. This is new. Now, this is again, I wanted to include production, operation, manufacturing, execution, POE. This is a new thing in S4HANA. So I thought that but this has been removed. I'll see if we can accommodate this one. Subcontracting is there. So you have done production subcontracting, right? So what there is the MRP area, there is the subcontracting. New special procurement key has come up na, to 45. Have you worked with special procurement key in MRP?
Yes.
Like subcontracting, stock transfer, consignment. These are the things that we have. Mainly, and then production in alternative plant, procurement from alternative plant, direct production. This you have worked, right? Actually, you have to tell me which one you have not worked. We'll go through this cycle, or I assume that I have to do everything. So there is a special procurement key 45, which cannot be copied. Other special procurement keys, you must have seen that it can be copied from standard and you can change the values there. But here, this 45 is hard-coded in the program. It is basically a stock transfer from MRP area to plant. What happens in subcontracting is that we have a net segment and a subcon segment in the standard in ECC. And first it gets replenished from the subcon segment, and then it gets transferred from, right, there is no stock in the subcon segment, it gets transferred from the net to subcon through MIGO or ME2O, and then again we replenish. But in case of MRP area subcontracting, there is a separate MRP area that is set up by creating subcontractors MRP area and assigned to the material master in MRP area segment in MRP4 view. And then MRP4 or in storage location MRP is in MRP4. In S4 HANA, you will not find this. MRP4 storage location view is not there. So MRP area, we have to just assign to the material master. And in the planning, there is a separate planning for each subcontracting MRP area. That we'll see. So these are the main production planning related best practice documents. In production planning also, you have demand driven MRP, for which I have a comprehensive document of my own. So I will give it to you. This is a Fiori app driven MRP type D1 that is done using some buffer calculations and what do you say, strategic decoupling of lead time to reduce the lead time of components. That we'll discuss. So all these best practices are available. So if you have the link I have shared, if you have the access to this SID and password, then you can download this. Or if you ask me, then I can also download and give it to you in a folder. Any of these documents, if you open that I have already shown you, it is just like a test script. The best way to, understand SAP, anything, ECC 6 or S4, is to run these best practice documents. I think my password has expired. I'll use some other password. I'll do it. It is asking, but it is also giving. In the key process flow of each document, you will have these things. You have the process flow, which is a flow diagram, and you have the test script. So this is the process flow. Load PIR, run MRP, evaluate stock requirement list, convert to production order, process the production order, standard monitor progress, but these are done through Fiori apps. You will see that in the process steps, I'm not able to download because I have this user ID problem, but I have the user ID, I'll do it. I'll do it. So that is how we'll download, we have to download the best practice explorer. So the next one is the material master. Create and manage material master. So this is a bigger slide, so it will contain all the functionalities of how we'll create the material master and maintain the material master in S4HANA. I mean, relevant to S4HANA, what changes have taken place. All of us know how to create the material master, but the S4HANA related fields that we maintain and what are the S4HANA related fields we need to maintain. All these things we can take up here. And there are exercises also. We'll take up these exercises and do it. So material master record creation. This we know already. There is no change in S4HANA. How we create? MM11 is create general plan for future. Normally we use MM01 and special material type. So when we create the material, we have to put the material type. Are you aware of the configurations of the material type? Why we need to put that material type and what it controls? Suppose you have to create a new material type for certain reasons. So what is a material type? Why do we have to do? Because this is important. When we create the materials, mainly for production, what are the different material types that we create or we use? We use the FERT part, then HALB for semi-finish, raw material ROH, operating supply, packaging material for handling unit management. Any other material types that we are using? Are you using? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. So these are the material types. So what is a material type? What does it control? All of us have created materials, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Deepak, you're audible.
Yeah. So you have created material. So when creating materials, you have put the material type. So
Yes,
what does it?
yes.
So what does a material type do? I mean,
Uh-huh. Okay,
what does
so
it control?
okay, the basic purpose of material type, like it controls a material master views. Like there are different type of parts which have all the views, and we have then raw material ROH and halves, which generally don't have the sales views. If I remember it correctly, like the halves do not, means they
No,
might
half
have.
also half has sales views because you can even sell the semi-finished
Yes,
goods.
yes, yes. I said that you might have to do an STO type of thing. For that, you have to maintain the sales views, and then there are different type. Actually, it generally controls a material master views, the material types, and tells that what type of material it is exactly.
One is the material type views it will control. It will control the number range. It will control the value and quantity updation. Whether this
Yeah,
material is
yeah.
managed at quantity level or value level, there are certain UNBW type of material or in-lab material which are non-stock and non-valuated. Sometimes you have to create these materials as well. So value updation and quantity updation, this for a plant we have to update for each material type. So mainly these things. And of course, the structure of data screens. Normally we don't do. but these are also available, we can do. And you know that there is a setting for that procurement type in the material master, which is normally grayed out sometimes, right? I mean, depending on the material type. So it can be X, it can be E, or it can be F, and it is grayed out. But you can control this using the material type configuration. You can allow it to be editable. So apart from the standard configurations or standard transactions for material creation, this engineering workbench you have used, CWB.
Yes.
We create for BOM, routing, maintenance, header, and operation level.
I mean, yes, for generally updating the bill of materials or master recipes, we generally use CWB just to do a mass maintenance.
Problem is that everyone knows it, or some people know it, or some don't. Then how to go about this? Should I mean, go through everything? That is the problem. Can
If you
everyone do
explain
this?
it briefly, sorry, Deepak, sorry for the interruption. If you can briefly explain it, I think everybody in the group would means they can understand it, and then they can go and check it later on. So group,
we'll explain the
you?
configurations. Yeah.
Yes. Means let me ask the group also if they are in agreement that yes, you ask a little bit about it, and they can go ahead and study it further.
Because generally you guys are working for such long time, it is expected that you already know. So we can concentrate on topics that you have not handled like that. So we'll go through all briefly, one by one, and concentrate on the details which we have not handled so far. Now there is a profile which you can create where you can maintain the materials with default values. So the default values will be copied from the profile. We create these profiles in the default value profiles, which can contain the industry sector, selection of views, selection of organization levels. There are two more transactions like MM17. These can be used for creating or doing mass change. This is basically a mass change functions of material master. And extension of views is MM50, but MM01 we can use also using the same material code to extend it to other plants. Now, as I was telling that MRP profile we can use. We can create an MRP profile and enter it at the time of creation of the material master, so that the data, MRP related data, are copied into the material master, like MRP type, MRP group, and other things. MRP group is a field which is very important in the material master, because MRP related settings are there in the MRP plant parameters, overall plant parameter maintenance. But there are some other settings which may be applicable to certain material groups which are different from the overall plant parameters that we maintain in the MRP group. So these two transactions in SPRO, that is OPPQ and OPPR for plant parameter and MRP group, are important. We'll check these settings. We can create. So MRP profile, as I have told you, will allow me to maintain default values. When we enter that, it will be copied to the material master MRP views. There is also a forecast profile. So what do you do with the forecast profile? Or have you done any forecast based planning?
Yeah, we have done like we'll give forecast values in MD61, right?
In the material master, we'll maintain the previous consumption, let us say, for a forecast period of 1 year. And using those forecast parameters, 4 factors are there. Now we'll calculate the forecast consumptions. That will appear in MD04. And then when we run the MRP, it will generate according to the forecast parameters. That is forecast-based planning. So the planning, I mean, the MRP type is different. VB, I think.
Right.
This interactive form part, that we have to see whether that is available, because there is new interactive Adobe form to update material master data. Actually, I have told you about LTMC. The LTMC is a template you can download, and you can enter. I mean, upload. I mean, you can fill up the value and do the migration. That way, also you can create the material master. The standard templates are available. Interactive form, I'll have to check whether these forms are available. Then we'll try to do one. Extension of material type. Achha, we can change the material type. MMAM na, is a transaction for changing a material type. But for that, just MAM na, just check it. MRM no, MMAM. Well, that is for changing the material type, provided the views are same, um, base unit of measure same.
Yeah, MMAM.
So managing changes through status, material master. This so we will go to the system and check. Status means there are two types of two places where we can, in the basic data, cross plant material status, and in the work scheduling data, we have a plant specific material status, and in MRP also. This status will control whether certain business functions we can carry out or block for a material. How the material master can be extended using MM01, or for a particular material certain views are missing, we can just enter in MM50 and then enter the material type and select the views which needs to be extended. That we can do. These are the maintenance statuses. We can, these are standard statuses which are available. MRP is D and production is F. Production is A. How you change the material type, that we have already told. OMS2 is the transaction where you create a new material type. Changing a material type, why do we have to change? What is influences? What are the update facilities that are possible in material master? MM02 is the change, manual changes that we do. MM12 is a transaction which we can plan. Normally we don't use. CC04, product structure browser, which gives us all the details of the material. I mean, where it is used, in which bomb, which routing. It is the product structure. And MM17, that we have mass maintenance, we have already told. Material status, we have told. This will do in the system. This is MM17. We have to just select which view we want to update, like say MRC, some plant view, maybe certain fields which we like MRP type and say, but problem is we can only change a fixed value. Change these 4 materials or 3 materials, will change the MRP type and scheduling margin key. So these materials will select and will put the values to the fields and then execute. Have you know archiving or deletion of a master record using the transaction SARA? So here you have to, we'll do that. We'll try to create one or two materials and then execute this transaction and see whether it is happening or not. So these are the delete a material master, perform the following steps. We can do flag the material master for deletion. So when you execute SARA, what happens is that you first flag the material for deletion. You write the records in an archive file. Then when you do the next step, you write in that database. So I mean archive file. So when you execute the deletion, your archive, this list appears, you select that and you delete. The material master record will be written in an archive file, but it will be deleted from a database. Archiving can be done using SARA for any object, I mean SAP object. So from the database, you write to an archive file and you delete from the database. Same thing again and again. Just go through these materials. These are all uploaded and available to you. Tomorrow we'll go to the system and take this one, this first exercise. That is the material master related transactions. So let us see. Let us see the exercise. This is a lab. So module, what is there? Apply lead time scheduling. Apply lead time scheduling and material master updates. You know this functionality, na? You do a scheduling in the routing and then click on that button, update material master. Or there is a transaction for that where you do. So your lot size dependent times are updated in the material master. So first thing we'll do this exercise tomorrow. We'll start going into the system. So these are small exercises we'll do immediately. Classifying the material master. We already know this, but we'll go through this again. Bill of material. Okay. So our time for today was up to 12:30, I think.
Yeah.
So today mostly we have gone through this theoretical type of slides and discuss the slides. So tomorrow we'll go into the system and start this MM, material master, bomb routing, etc. These basic exercises. So anything that
Okay.
you want to convey?
Just want to say maybe I know the processes or anyone other knows the process. Maybe all the person don't know the process you are talking. I think you have to show and tell all the processes in the system. Just my suggestion.
Absolutely. I'll take it that way. I'll take it that way. We'll discuss and go into each. I mean, mainly see, we have to go into the system and understand. So our basic data will start from tomorrow. So material master, bomb routing, whatever functionalities are there, that everything will go into. Yeah, irrespective of whether that is in ECC, S4HANA, I mean, whatever changes are there in S4HANA, that will do. We'll go through each process, considering that we need to go through. I mean, everybody is not knowing. I mean, the configurations also related to master data. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody else? Anything? Okay, thank you. In that case, we are closing today's session. We'll be meeting tomorrow at 9:30. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.